Some people cut me off. Some people blatantly cut me off. Unfollowed me on all their social media. Just like, yeah, this girl, you're so annoying. I can't stand you. Goodbye. Hi there. Welcome back to another episode of the Growing and Becoming podcast. I hope you've been well. So today I'll be talking about something that is not uncommon. At the same time, I don't think we hear enough of it, right? I'm talking about adult friendships, the realities, everything from friendship breakups to meeting new people in your 20s, everything, the whole gist. One thing that I've noticed, and I am sure that you would agree with me, is that a lot of the relationship content or books or articles, blogs, a lot of it is tailored towards romantic kind of relationships. I don't think we have enough content or resources or materials for friendships specifically, which is sad because friendships are super important. Not everyone will have a romantic partner at every phase of their lives, and even for those who do, friendships are equally important. I think friendships are the one thing that everyone needs at every phase of life. Personally, I've watched my friendships take several turns, and as someone who's in her 20s, I'm at that phase of my life where I'm navigating a whole lot of life changes, new experiences. I'm learning things that I probably didn't know of, or I'm learning to do things better in this phase of my life. I'm trying to form lifelong habits, trying to make lifelong decisions, and friendships is one thing that I'm very particular about. I mean, that's why I started this podcast, the Growing and Becoming podcast, to help people like me, or to help people who are a lot younger and are trying to figure life out, or trying to navigate this whole relationship thing. And so today I just want to focus primarily on friendships, adulthood friendships. What's it like doing this friendship thing in your 20s? There are some things that we need to come to terms with as young adults who are trying to build relationships, particularly friendships. And I'll be sharing a few of them with you today. The first thing I'd like to say is that friendships equally go through seasons. The same way that you're changing, some of your friendships might change. And that's completely normal. That's completely fine. Honestly, if you weren't going through different seasons of your life, I would be worried. In an ideal situation, we're all growing and becoming, and so the seasons of our lives change per time. For instance, the friends that you make in high school may not necessarily be the same friends that you would have in later parts of your life. Some people are able to nurture their high school friendships up until their 20s or 30s, which is fantastic. I mean, sweet stuff. Absolutely love it. However, a lot of us who are not very in touch with the people that we went to high school with, we have to meet new people. We have to make friends. Some of the friends that we have at the moment are probably people that we've met in the most recent season of our lives. And that's totally fine. The friends that you have to help you go through your early years as a teenager might not necessarily be better suited for you as an adult. Maybe because now you both want different things in life. They're probably on a different trajectory and you're on an entirely different trajectory, and somehow you just subconsciously drift apart. That's totally fine. It's okay to recognize that, well, this friend that I had whilst I was a teenager who was really supportive of me in chemistry class or biology class, we now believe in different things. We have completely different belief systems. And so the fundamental things that will make up this friendship or make this friendship work is no longer there. And so you just find that you're no longer as interested in hanging out as you used to in the past. It might not necessarily be something that you actively decide, like, you know what, I no longer want this person in my life, goodbye forever. It might just be that you just start losing interest. So like there's a natural drifting apart that happens, and these things are normal, right? If it's happening to you right now, Believe me, you're not the only one. Every single person on earth has experienced this situation or experienced something similar to that. There is another case, of friendships ending as a result of, change in seasons. That could be a more deliberate decision. Like you saying, okay, well, I recognize that we were close at this time of our lives, but I don't think I want to be friends with them going forward. And that's a different thing entirely. And it's equally okay. It's not like one is good and the other isn't. If anything, I think it's nice. I think it's nice for you to be that self-aware that you come to the decision and you say, you know what, I see this person. I just don't think I see them as a friend anymore. Or maybe when you're in high school, you had the gift of proximity and convenience, and now you decided to travel abroad and you are miles and miles away from your friend. And that could, put a natural strain on the friendship where out of sight, might be out of mind, right? And I think these things happen, so totally fine. Don't feel like you are doing something wrong because some of your friendships have come to an end. And if anything, I think it's okay to grieve that ending. Like, okay, well, I really like this person, but I don't see us being close anymore. Like, I don't really like the things that they like. We don't have any interest, and I just don't really see it moving forward. It's okay to be sad about that and be like, oh well, would have been nice, but this is where we are. Like, that's fine. Another thing that I need us to come to terms with is the fact that our friends are equally on their own growing and becoming journey. Whilst we are growing and trying to become the best versions of ourselves, we're developing ourselves, we're doing all these things for our personal and career development, people are equally doing the same. Maybe not in the same way that you are, maybe not at the same pace that you are, but they are doing their own thing as well. Right? So whilst you are going through your season of changes and development, someone else is equally going through their season of change or growth. Whether they are progressing or regressing, it doesn't matter. They are changing, all right? And I think we need to get to that place of maturity to recognize that the person that we are now is different to what our friends were introduced to 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. However long you've been friends. And this new version of you needs some getting used to. It needs some adjustment. So recognize that whilst you've changed, the other person may have changed in some sort, and it might even be more difficult for them to see this new person and desire the friendship. Or they probably just need some time to get used to it. And for you as well, maybe you just need to get used to your friends and their new interests and their new hobbies. One thing I will say, if the underlying values of the person, for instance, their respect for people, kindness, their belief system, the things that they hold dear and sacred, if these things are still the same, and you feel like, well, this person as a human being, we align in terms of our values and principles, maybe we can continue the friendship. I'm going to use my life as an example. I went from being in the world and enjoying the things of the world to being in a state of confusion and just being reckless and trying out God knows what. Like, I was in such a confused phase of my life. And then becoming spiritual, becoming faith inclined. I decided to embrace my Christianity and live as a Christian, and that is the polar opposite of what it means to be, secular, like be in the world and like the things that the world does, like things that are not in line with Christian values. So imagine that the people who used to hang out with me, or the people I called friends whilst I liked those worldly things, now they have to put up with me now as this whole new person. It's such a stark difference. And they are not obliged to want to be friends with this new person because that's not the person that they met. This is an entirely different babe. Some of my friends stayed, obviously, because like we've been friends for a long time and they've seen me go through all sorts of changes. They still recognize and love the person that I am inherently. And that's great. I'm not gonna lie. That's fantastic. However, not all of my friends were able to do that. Some people cut me off. Some people blatantly cut me off. Unfollowed me on all their social media, just like, yeah, this girl, you're so annoying. I can't stand you. Goodbye. That's just life, you know. And I can't be too mad at them because they are in their journey. Maybe in their journey they've come to the decision that they're never going to be Christians, or they're never going to be this vocal about faith and stuff, and so they can't really stand someone who is, and that's totally fine, you know. That's totally fine. And there are people who are not very ambitious, and so being around people who are ambitious is such an ick. They can't stand it. So if these two people sort of who used to be friends, maybe they both liked the same things, they were both very chill about life, no one really cared about like achieving stuff, and now all of a sudden this one friend wants to own big firms and he wants to have conglomerates and make all the money in the world and be influential and be in power, and there's this friend who just wants to live in midlife, and they're like, I just want to be mid, bro. I'm not about what you're about. And so if that friend is constantly talking about how they think they're taking this course, they want to make X amount of money, this is their life goal, their 5-year strategy, the other friend will be pissed off, believe me. And those changes in life, you know, can cause a rift. And so it's very, very, very important. It takes a lot of intentionality, which is the next thing I want to talk about. It takes a lot of intentionality to recognize that, well, my friend and I are going through X and X changes, and it's difficult. It looks different. I don't recognize who this person is anymore. So I was talking about myself, right? How I went from being in the world to becoming a Christian, a practicing Christian. Now, some of my friends might not be used to that, because prior to when I decided to take my faith more seriously, I actually could not stand Christians who were vocal about their faith. So a lot of my friends were people who were not interested in anything about faith. And now, all of a sudden, I've gone through these life changes over the last couple of years, and I realized this is who I am. This is who I want to be. Going forward, this is my life. And my friends have to just watch me change, and they're like, okay, I hear you, sis. I see you. However, I'm not really sure that I'm acquainted with this version of you, and that's fine. And so what some of them did was to take interest in the things I was interested in, maybe not actively, or rather maybe not in-depthly. And then there's also the changes in life experiences. For instance, maybe you have a friend and both of you were single for so long, and now this friend is married and is a mother. Going from being single and having nights out and sleepovers to being a mother, that's different. It's a whole different thing, and it will take a lot of intentionality to still show up for your friend, even when their life seems to be very, very different from yours. It will take a lot of intentional communication. So whenever this person is being too much, or like you feel like this new version of them is actually a bit overbearing, or you are just finding it difficult to keep up, it's okay to express yourself sometimes, obviously with wisdom, right? If you feel like someone is being overbearing in the sense that maybe now they've become a neat freak, and every time they show up at your apartment, they're always pointing out every single flaw, that's not very respectful. And it's okay for you to say, I see you, I hear you, I know that you're this person now. However, I feel like you are being really mean to me. I feel like this is not necessary. I feel like you don't necessarily need to impose your beliefs on me. It's okay to have difficult conversations, because it's in that place then that you learn what the other person wants, or how the other person wants to be treated, or how each person wants to be treated rather, and then you can meet each other halfway. So it takes a lot of intentionality. One thing that you need to keep in mind is that adulthood friendships are not void of troubles or drama. People will hurt you and you will hurt people as well. And that's why you need to be quick to forgive. I think that the more closely that you work with someone, the easier it is for them to offend you or step on your toes. Especially if you are going through life changes. There are certain things about you or them that might rub off on each person differently, right? And I think it takes a lot of grace for you to recognize that, you know what, I'm offended by what this person has done. However, I think that this is someone that I still want to be in my life, and so I will let it go. It's important that you also communicate, because it is in that place of communication that you recognize what you've done to someone that has rubbed them off wrongly, or what they've done to you. You need to be able to articulate your thoughts properly and communicate it to them appropriately. Have difficult conversations if you must. However, don't be so quick to let go of your friendship. Don't be so quick to cut people off and damn all consequences. I don't think that is the right way to go. I don't think that's the adult way to go about it. If you are going to have lifelong friendships, then you must be very familiar with my sister called forgiveness, because that's going to be your best friend. And of course, forgiveness doesn't necessarily look the same across board. For instance, there was this one friendship that I was trying to establish. It was at its infancy stage. And this person did something to me that was completely out of line. I recognized that I don't think I want this person to have access to me anymore, because this thing that they have done is problematic. To be honest, not necessarily the thing that was done, but the values and the principles behind it. What this person did has some underlying problematic beliefs or principles that I just could not agree with, and I knew there and then that this is someone that I can't have around me too frequently, because there's something here that is going to be a huge problem, even more than what had already happened. And I decided to create a bit of distance between us. Now there's no bad blood, no bad energy or anything. I just made sure that this person no longer had the same amount of or level of access to me, and that's totally fine. You can forgive someone and love them from afar. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't beat yourself up. If someone has crossed your boundaries multiple times, or you feel like, well, this person has some underlying values and belief systems that just don't align with my life, and so I don't think this is a friendship I want to pursue going forward, that's okay. But essentially, don't hold a grudge. I don't understand it when people hold grudges, to be honest. Why is this person so special to you that you have decided to keep them in your mind going forward? For how long do you want to carry them in your heart? You want to see them fail so bad. You want to see them hurt in life. And it makes me wonder, you've also hurt people. Imagine if they just, go about wishing you bad. Even if you think you are now a good person, my darling, remember that you've hurt people. Perhaps the past you has hurt people. What's going to happen if all of us just go around keeping one another in a very dark place in our hearts? Yeah, so I think it's very important that we embrace my good sister called forgiveness. Trust me, she does not lie. She is very sweet and friendly. So you might want to get acquainted to her, especially if you want to have lifelong adult friendships. Honestly, I'm not going to pretend like friendship breakups are not heart-wrenching. I wish people could do some deep study into how painful friendship breakups are, because bro, I don't think a man has hurt me as much as my friends have, people who I used to be friends with. It's difficult to come to that place where you're like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And sometimes that's okay. You need to really love yourself and give yourself that grace. Ensure that you are moving on from the pain and the hurt. Don't get stuck there. Don't make that experience the entirety of your life, because you will meet new people, which is the last thing I want to talk about. you will meet new people, and those people deserve to be friends with someone who is healed, someone who is wholesome, who's beautiful, who's loving, whatever. One thing that is important is that you need to be open to loving people, and you need to be open to letting people love you. Life is filled with many uncertainties, right? Not even friendships are certain. Sometimes your long-term friendships might come to an abrupt end, but life must move on. Don't deny yourself of the beauty and love that other people have to offer or shower you. Just don't do that to yourself, okay? Anyways, I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. So like the video, and of course subscribe, because I will be sharing more and more videos going forward. I have a podcast called Growing and Becoming. The link is in the description, so do well to check it out and listen to all the episodes. Trust me, you will love it. Anyway, it's been lovely doing this, and until next time, my darlings, I am wishing you a beautiful growing and becoming journey, and I'm wishing you beautiful lifelong adult friendships.